Khe Hy, thank you for hopping on today. I could genuinely not be more excited to hash some stuff out today with you.
Thanks for having me, Zach. I'm glad we're finally meeting and been a long fan of you and your work for
Man,
a while.
well, I appreciate that. It goes both ways for sure. I want to do the highlights of Khe as I understand them to be, because then I have a question. I want to dive right into the hard question right now. So, like, my highlights as I've followed you over the years have been your exit from Wall Street we're saying about a decade ago, right?
10 years ago.
Which is amazing. And you escaped, unlocked, melted down, or otherwise destroyed your golden handcuffs.
Hmm.
And now you've spent around 10 years talking and writing and coaching others on just like what does it mean to deploy your resources, money and otherwise, in pursuit of a life that is your own. And now, in this brave new world we find ourselves in with AI and madness around us, you've started something kind of new and different. My question for you, one, tell me what I missed, please.
Hmm.
But two, what's going on out? Like what are you hearing from people? What's
Mm.
the tone right now
Yeah,
in your conversations?
yeah. So you didn't miss anything. So you got it right. I would just put the ages to help
Okay.
like ground people. So it's like 21 to 35 on Wall Street effectively, 35 to 45 kind of lifestyle entrepreneur, massive downshift. And then 46 onwards kind of started my new business, which is called Latour AI.
Okay.
So what am I hearing? Well, it depends on which circle. So I I was just texting with a friend, and he was sharing a message. So a friend is my age, 46. He was sharing a message that his boss had sent, and his boss said, "This is the second time we're having a once in a lifetime opportunity as an entrepreneur." He's
Wow.
like, the first time was .com, and the second time is AI. Uh, and he's like, we're probably not gonna get a third. That's what the boss said. And I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, so I was, I guess, 20 when like we could like use Napster, like where you could basically like download music fast enough, like ISDN lines. So, I was in high school when we had 28 baud modems. But I was like, okay, so I believe that from like an entrepreneur and just like a societal shift, this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity. Um, and so someone was asking me, it was like, they're saying, I feel really bad for people who are 21, like they went to college their whole, like with this like plan that they're going to do this for 10 years and then this, and then, that seems to be like cracking or broken depending on who you talk to. And I was like, man, I wouldn't want to be 21 right now because I was 21 during .com. So it was just too young and too inexperienced and didn't have enough capital to take advantage of what was happening. Now I'm 46 during this, and I'm like, I wish I was 31 right now to meet the moment
Okay.
because I'm starting to become like low energy midlife guy. So I have like a little bit less energy. I have enough capital to like do stuff, and I have a lot of experience. So like I know how to like take the bull by the horns right now. I feel very well equipped. I just wish I was 31 so I had more energy. Um, so now I sleep 9 hours a night. So what am I hearing? So that's like in the AI circles,
Yeah.
which is a sliver of society. That's what I'm hearing. I think that in kind of my peer group, which would be, successful mid to late 40s, kind of like elder millennial, young Gen X, I think there's kind of like, I think if you're in the top 1% of your field, you always know that you're safe.
Hmm.
It's the people that are not in the top 1% that are like, they're kind of calling this like a low fire, low hire
Hmm.
regime. I think that the people that like would admittedly say like I'm not trying to be in the top 1% of my field, they're like, let's just not ruffle any feathers and let's just kind of steady as she goes.
Hmm.
Or a smaller group is like, let me upskill. Let me upskill with AI to just at least like someone said to me earlier, I don't want to be the guy that types with two fingers, like in the office, and we all know that guy or that gal. So, and then I think the young people, and I talk to a lot of kind of younger millennials, older Gen Zs. I don't talk to a lot of 21-year-olds these days, but just people are just confused and scared. I think that the traditional roadmap is just being blown up, and I don't think it's
Hmm.
ever coming back.
Yeah. I I have conversations similar with the next generation of people getting into finance that genuinely are looking for the path in, right? And in our separate worlds of finance, the path in is not always clear cut, and sometimes it's circuitous. But also wondering if the end result of that will even be if there's a finish line when they get there.
Mm.
And that's astounding to really consider because even in my career alone, you knew the path forward, whether you
Yeah.
liked it or not, whether you wanted to opt in or not,
Yep.
there still was one. And
Hmm.
that's not just a given right now.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what this makes me think of that is that, you know, LLMs are non-deterministic. So, you could say, what's your favorite thing to do in Paris? You could ask your model, and I could ask my model. We probably get different answers. And I think that Western society, I'll just say American, like a corporate American society, like that group of people is feels like a very deterministic group. Like you go to this school and then you get this job. You stay at this job for 10 years and then you get this other job. And then you do this other job for 20 years and then you retire and you move to Florida. All right. I think that people in general like things that are deterministic because you know what to anchor the next step to.
Mm-hmm.
But LLMs are like non-deterministic, and I think we're in a non-deterministic phase. Like I think it's possible that I could have more success in the next decade than I had in my first decade on Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, the starting line was the same for everyone when it comes to LLMs.
That's true. I heard someone describe it in a conversation recently that right now the job market as an individual is not so different from a housing market where if you've got a great property, you can
Mm.
command a great price
Yeah.
and have optionality in your sales, so to speak.
Yeah.
But there's a big swath in the middle there that's not so sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I felt like that was pretty on target for what I'm hearing from folks in their expectations as they're looking around and they're seeing layoffs coming for not individuals, not subsets, but categories even. And some of that seems to be purported more than executed. Like the layoff fatigue out here in the ether of is it coming?
Hmm.
Have you sensed any of that or heard any of that from others? Of is the are we on the chopping block or are we moving towards it versus is it just like question marks all around?
Yeah. I don't think that, and again, I'm not an expert from this, so this is like a small number of data points. I think that right now what people are saying is like the bar for another hire is so high, right? Except for that kind of 1% group. Like you always want to hire. If you have the funds to hire a top 1%, you're always going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But for like everyone else, the bar, you've seen a lot of these tech CEOs say this on podcasts, is like if you go in for budget for a new hire, the HR comes back and like prove to me that an AI can't do this,
Mm-hmm.
or you're not getting budget. And I think the reality is the AI cannot do it, but it can do like 60% of it. And that's probably enough to just freeze that process right there. Like, six, like point 0.6, like, will I take point 0.6 a new employee at zero cost? Like, probably.
Yeah.
And keep that budget for like a rainy day. Um, but I think the other thing is that I'm seeing is that, there's industries that have been, and wouldn't be like a finance specific, LLM specific, but in finance, so there, you see these like different eras. So when I was in finance from 2000 2001 to 2015, it was kind of the early, medium, middle innings of the hedge fund industry.
Hmm.
And it was very there was a trope that it was two guys in a Bloomberg because they were always mostly men. And like two guys, good stock pickers, and they had a Bloomberg, and then they could raise you know, a 600 to $2 billion fund, and like that's $20 million a year. Um, that job does not exist anymore. Like it is completely gone, and it's probably never coming back. Now, that's not an AI thing necessarily. That's not AI thing. And now that job has been replaced by what's called the pod, so like Citadel and Millennium, where it's almost like the boiler room model of a hedge fund, where you have these like really tight risk limits, and again, you could be 35 and make 5 million bucks in a year, and you could be laid off if you have like a bad week, and you might be unhireable just because of if you're not in that top, maybe not 1%, but if you're not in the top 10, you might be unhireable. And so it just shows that like these even, and I don't think much of this is AI driven yet, but even in these kind of known industries, like entire ways of existing are just completely gone.
The way you just described it, I'm curious. I've always had this perspective of the pendulum swings when it comes
Hmm.
to um, corporatization versus independence, and I've seen it in my career on services rolled up to only the biggest institutions, and the pendulum swings to concierge level services independently, but then slowly you bolt on more and more things, and suddenly
Hmm.
you've replicated that thing that used to be, and then swings back. And you just described an era of relative independence and scrappiness in the hedge fund world,
Hmm.
swinging to this, for lack of a better
Machine.
word, yeah, just concentrated machine that is got layers and layers and layers to it. For our friends who aren't in finance, do
Yeah.
you, and you're talking, this is where we're going to end up so we can hop
Yeah.
there, but talking about upskilling with AI, and I know
Hmm.
you're focused in on how does that show up in the finance world, but do you think that a similar pendulum will kind of, maybe only in hindsight, be apparent in
Hmm.
other high level careers, tech
Mm.
world, even as we see like marketing changing like crazy right now, from
Yeah.
these big giant institutions, we've been seeing vertical builds now starting to stretch horizontal. Like, what do you think about that from your perspective?
It's it's really hard to answer. I don't I don't think that the pendulum will swing. Like I don't think we're going back to some old way of existing. Right? Like I was just telling someone on a call, like I'm thinking of getting a pedal, like a foot pedal for my computer because I barely type anymore. I just
Mm,
like do voice to text. And I don't want like it's annoying to put my finger to hold the thing. So I just want a foot pedal. Like
yeah.
I don't I don't think I'm going back to typing ever. Like I still type, don't get me wrong, but
Mm,
it's probably like 60% voice, 40% typing now, and it was 100% typing in January,
mm,
and it'll probably be 20%. Part of the reason why there's less typing is like the voice to text hasn't gotten good on mobile yet.
mm,
Once it gets good on mobile, game over for typing. So something like that, I just like typing's never coming back, and unless maybe it's like a you know how like people watch like VHS now, so maybe it's like a nostalgic,
it's like, I just like the
reminiscent.
feel of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like our kids will like get keywords like remember when you used to type
Yes.
uh so I don't think the pendulum's swinging back. I think that this is a big enough per like disturbance. Um but I do think I think anything like you like I suspect you find the steady state of the thing.
Hmm.
I just think that the steady state of this thing is gonna look so different. I mean, I'll tell you from experience, like the amount I can do as like a single person entrepreneur with AI is unreal. Like I had like all the like contracts, legal contract templates in saved in Claude, and like I just dump in the terms of a deal and it spits out the contract and I scan it and I send it out. And again, I'm doing training, so there's not like a
Sure.
huge risk of litigation, things like that. But that used to take 48 hours and a $300 lawyer if you're being cheap. Now it's like 1 second and better.
Mhm.
Like literally 1 sec. It takes 1 second. How do you? There's no like. What is the new normal look like?
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know what the new normal
Yeah.
will look like.
Let me go back for a second because you lived a life where you were like, I'm gonna say stuck. Like you
Mhm.
were stuck at least on a trajectory, and then you opted out. Like you got
Yeah.
unstuck. If we right now, there's obviously plenty of people in that position.
Hmm.
You're talking to them in finance; they exist in every industry.
Yeah.
Is there a particular perspective that you've seen on from the people who are present day stuck
Hmm.
that feels different or similar to your experience? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think the thing that is different now is that I mean, everything's gotten so much more expensive.
Mm.
So I was speaking to someone who, I'm transparent about like how much money I had when I left. I don't really talk about it that much anymore. My wife's like, can you just, now that you're not doing that stuff, can you just like stop talking about that on podcasts? So I don't say it as much, but
Somebody can go find it.
it's out in the public
Yeah,
domain.
they'll go find
You
it
can
if they
actually
need
ask
it.
ChatGPT and it knows my net worth.
Yeah.
ChatGPT knows my net worth when I left BlackRock, so you can find it out that way. Um, so, but they were saying they were kind of like we were like comparing the numbers, and kind of like similar trajectory. I'm like, like just like on the basis of like housing inflation,
Hmm.
it's just like the numbers were just so it was like hard to even talk apples to apples
Mm.
because the numbers just felt so distorted. So the costs have gone up like without a doubt. Um, so that makes people feel more stuck,
Yeah.
right? I think housing in general is just it's kind of the albatross in the stuckness. So here's another example. People with 3% mortgages are stuck. That's like
Hmm.
it's the new golden handcuff is a
Yeah.
3% mortgage. I saw this, you probably saw it too. This Wall Street Journal article is they're divorced and the only thing keeping them together is a 3% mortgage.
Yeah.
They're like literally they're divorced and living in the same house because they can't recreate that 3% mortgage. Maybe ever. Maybe the 3% mortgage is gone in our life. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm 46. I don't think I would be surprised if the 3% mortgage is gone in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Um, so housing is the albatross on being stuck, and it's not as liquid. There's more variables that go into it, like interest rates and so on. So I would say that in general, people are feeling stuck because of costs and specifically housing costs, more stuck. I would say that the AI thing is like I think very few people are in their 40s and their late 40s are seeing any new technology and being like, this is the thing that I'm gonna like that's gonna get me unstuck. I
Mm.
think it's a little for most people, again, that non-determinism is very scary. And I think so I don't think there's very many people like me that are saying, "Oh, there's this crazy thing and no one has any idea how it's going to reshape the world. Let's effing go." Like I don't think there's that many people saying that in my peer group. So if anything, it's the opposite. It's like, well, if AI is going to, kill this industry, let me stay, right? Low fire, low hire, low fire,
Mhm.
right? Let me just kind of it's like sit on the melting ice cube, as long as I can. So I think that now is a phenomenal opportunity to break out, but
Mhm.
I think it you have to be wired a certain way to appreciate it and to want it.
It's super interesting you said, and I recently wrote a piece called "The New Golden Handcuffs" that really was kind of aligned with what you were saying. That what I hear from people in my career, and I think probably throughout yours, like golden handcuffs, it like meant a thing. It had
Yeah.
a I knew what you meant when you said that, and now
Hmm.
like just as everything changes, vocabulary kind of does too. and people are talking more about like I've done this Reddit search, and you can do just search Golden Handcuffs, and there's 1,000 things, and almost none of them are my deferred comp package.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's my
What's
mortgage.
like the top one?
It's
Mortgage?
so it's
Mortgage?
my cost of living broadly speaking, and then
Got it.
drill down to housing or potentially things like childcare, and I'm like
Yep.
shifting from a dual income to a single income household. But that whole package of
Yep.
lifestyle stuff.
Yep.
But they're saying it in their posts like I've got golden handcuffs, but that's
Yeah.
what they mean. And
Yeah,
that
yeah.
perspective shift, I think, really does belie some kind of truth that like there's a little bit of uneven ground people are traversing right now.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to get to what you're doing now
Yeah.
because it mimics so much what we've been hearing. My partner and I've been hearing from people who are in these really high performing roles.
Hmm.
In our case, outside of finance, but I know in your case you've got really good direct experience that they're choosing this path towards upskilling and leverage
Hmm.
with this mind-boggling,
Hmm.
game-changing set of tools that we now have.
Yeah.
So can you give me like the nuts and bolts of what you're doing now
Yeah.
and how it's showing up for these people who are opting to maybe say, I'm not getting stuck, if
Yeah.
that's a fair way to put it.
Yeah. The I feel very lucky because I've always been a tinkerer, not a hacker, but a tinkerer. And I love technology. So I'm not a coder, I'm not a hacker, but I'm a tinkerer who loves technology. And look, I graduated during .com. Basically, my whole adult life has been like ripe for that personality type. That's why I left finance. It's like I have this like passion and interest that's being like dying on the vine, you know? I love it. I mean, we met through, for lack of a better word, internet culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I feel very lucky that I have that kind of tinkering technologist mindset. And that has just opened up the doors on AI because it's very um, there's no like textbook on it, right? Like people want the answer. I'm like, sorry, I can't give you the answer there. But and so I think that the tinkering mindset has helped a lot. I think the last 10 years have helped a lot because I kind of learned to be like in that uncertain era, right? Like there were stretches where I'm like, how am I going to make money this year?
Mm-hmm.
Or, in markets down 20 during COVID, or, what does that mean for someone who's kind of mostly long risk assets? That's like all of my wealth is basically like the S&P 500 effectively. So I'm very levered to that. I'm both technically and
Yeah.
conceptually levered to the S&P 500. So I feel like the ability to not to stay and like to exist in an uncertain state, I have been not even by choice, it just happened. I've been practicing that for 10 years. And it goes, I've done a lot of therapy. I, received a lot of therapy. I've been meditating, 40 minutes a day for 11 years straight. So like a lot of it is, building in that the practices, and then a lot of it is just, being an entrepreneur. As one of the things about being an entrepreneur is you just kind of never know what's going to come out of, door number 3 every morning, right? And when you kind of have to face the what's behind door 3 moment every single day of your life, you realize it's not that scary. And when the boogeyman does come out of door number 3, you find a way to slay it, right? And so I think I got the confidence to do that. And so I say that as the backdrop of like, I feel like the pieces were really falling into place. And I also think, I mean, this might sound a bit arrogant. And, I always say things like, I grew up lower middle class, but, my parents graduated me from Yale without any student loans. Like that is a gift that many people
Sure.
do not ever get. And so I don't take that lightly, right? I'm a straight Asian cis male, right? Like no one's threatening me for who I am, for my identity, right? I'm not getting
Mm-hmm.
threats against my identity or my sexual preferences. So like I've had things pretty good, and I have you know I I say yes to everything. So like when you like, hey, you want to do this podcast? Yes. Like I don't, I just, I say yes, not everything. Like if someone's not respectful of my time, then
Sure.
I say no. And sometimes if there's too many things to say yes to in the same month, I say like, hey, can we spread out the yeses over the next quarter? But I pretty much say yes to everything. I probably do still like three networking. And when I say networking, it's like, it's not a client and it's not a friend. So I probably do like three networking meetings a day for, I'm 46. So for like 25 years, I've done three networking meetings a day. I mean, just so like, I just know a lot of people, right? And people, I like them. I think they like me. So when you need clients, like it's not that hard. You just know a lot of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so to get to what I'm doing, I started as a training business. Basically, people saw me training myself on AI, and they're like, "Hey, can you help us?" The thing that's great about AI from a entrepreneurial perspective is that it's like it's constantly changing. So whatever, even training changes. Like a training that you did 3 months ago is not even valid anymore.
Right.
So so that's the training business, and the training business has evolved into like more of a strategy business where they're like, hey, we're a 50-person firm. We got this group of early adopters playing with AI in the corner. We have this majority group that's just really scared of it, and then we have this other group that's confused. Um, what's our 5-year plan here, right? And so it's evolving from like training to strategy. And then I'm actually been building my own products on the side, just like learning how to code, AI code, and building stuff, shipping stuff. And so that's kind of like my portfolio right now. It's like training, strategy, and shipping.
It's so awesome, man. And I've got so many things we could talk about, but just to pause tonight, is it not just bonkers that like me as some guy in North Carolina can sit in my backyard with my laptop and ship something that could not have existed 12 months ago? From me, I mean, like wouldn't have been remotely possible. It's astounding.
And the cost is $20. It costs you $20 in the time. It's like, how could you not be excited by this?
That's one of the biggest problems is if you're anybody who's learned, if you have not learned, I guess I should say, to harness your shiny object syndrome and whatever that way that shows up, it's overwhelming. To look at your list. I don't know if you have like a list of business ideas and say, oh, these are all the ones I used to not be able to do, and now I can just take a pick and
Yep.
there they are.
Yeah, and I mean, just to get into the mode of cheat, like I try to have a coding agent running most of the day. So like, I have like 2 jobs now. I'm just like building stuff, and like the stuff I'm building is not like that good yet, but it's getting better. It's better than it was in January.
No, would you build the first video game with your kids? We did that recently. We built like a Space Invaders game, except
nice.
it was
What platform did you use?
We did on Replit. And
okay.
and it was functional. Like we were able to go in and play it and test it. And then my kids were like, "Can we finish it?" And I'm like, "I don't really want to put that many credits behind this particular game, but okay, whatever." But then I can my version of it running in the background has been videos that I'm creating with
I love that.
Like that
you made that one for me. That was awesome.
That same idea. Like people are like, how have you done this? Well, the main thing is that it's back here. It's like in the background.
Yeah.
It's like your help. You're like nudging it. And it's wild. But I think that, so our experience with clients, and I'd love your feedback from your perspective, is the general path that we see for folks who are planning an exit, escaping golden handcuffs, is a break of some kind and then a targeted re-entry.
Yeah.
And that's what you just described. And that's for if you're a real specialist and you make an exit and you have a network, you'll likely have opportunity. There'll be opportunities around at whatever point you select to take them. And now you're coming out as a specialist in whatever your field is. And you come out and you see these opportunities, but you're able to maintain being a specialist because now even solo your support roles, whatever, are right here. And it's kind of mind-boggling that the best specialists who do offer independence, they offer their own path, now have so much more support than you did when you did it,
Yeah.
and then even existed 3 years ago. And that comes along with some mindset shifts on what is possible, even.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. You nailed it, and no one knows. That's the thing, the in the arena meme,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I just want to be in the arena and just figuring it out.
Yeah. I think you you definitely don't want to be behind, but you
Yeah.
just it's to be present for it is
Yeah.
to be present and know that you're watching something important, like your call that was saying the
Yeah.
second once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah.
Wrapping up, give me any guideposts that you would share for people who are, you're doing this coaching program, you're helping people upskill, you've been through this yourself. I'm a high level executive or specialist, and I'm feeling this tension, this chafing of golden handcuffs,
Mhm.
or this maybe just sense of uncertainty. What are
Yeah.
any guideposts or anchors that you found help people as they begin navigating that process?
Yeah. I mean, the first one is very simple, is just understanding your costs.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'd be amazed, I think when you're at the executive level, a lot of people, and not all, but a lot, like the only formula they have is money in greater than money out,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that can show up in a lot of ways. Like I think that there's a lot of I forget, remedial spending, where like, oh, I work so hard, so I deserve to stay at a Four Seasons, like when I go on
Mm-hmm.
vacation. And maybe like I'm not criticizing
Sure.
that. I used to think that way, but then there's a world where like you don't feel like you just got beat up, for an entire quarter. That you're like, I don't even need a vacation, right? Let alone
Mm-hmm.
if one at the four, one that costs, I mean, Four Seasons now, like the prices are insane. So I'd say the first is just like wrapping your head around your costs, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's a very easy one. I think some people are very scared because they're always like, "Well, this year was an off year. We redid the deck, right? Well, last year was an off year. We started the kids in private, right? Oh, the year before, like we needed a second car, right? So just stop putting the excuses and just figure out what your costs are. I think a second one is a pretty nuanced one, but again, I think people don't actually sit and think about this, and I know you're familiar with this concept, but like the whole die with zero.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a die with zero person, but I think that people, um, like, how old are you?
34,
34. And how old are your kids?
7 and 8.
7 and 8. Okay. So let's say you live a long life to like the male expectancy, which is like 75. So you'll be 40 when you pass, and your wife will probably outlive you because women outlive men. But let's just say you pass last. So in 40 years, your son or your kids, your eldest will be 48,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so let's say you have this like giant pot of money. Do you want to give your 48-year-old, is your 48-year-old a boy or a girl?
Yeah, boy. Yeah.
But do you want to give your 48-year-old son like a giant pot of money? He's 7 years from retirement.
Mm-hmm.
He's older than you are right now, like significantly older than you are right now. And I think people just like assume that they want to die with these giant pots of money. And usually they'll say like it's for the kids. Most people aren't like that philanthropic that they're like, oh, I just want to give it to, the ADL or whatever. Or Sierra Foundation. Most people don't. They'll like give money away, but they don't like they're not like that's not their life's work. So then they're like, yeah, I want to do it for my kids. And then, you look at these people, especially like an executive, in their 40s, like if they just compounded their wealth, you can get to some pretty big numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then you're like, you want to give your 48-year-old son, $12 million dollars? So I think people just don't, again, it's kind of like the expense thing. It's not that hard to kind of mentally go there. Like the math's not hard, but the concept's very sticky and weird and a little awkward. You have to think about your death. You have to like talk about your death with your spouse, and but that's like for us, we like want to pay for our kids' college, and maybe like help them with a starter home.
Hmm.
Like I have more than enough money to do that. And then obviously we want to like live comfortably into retirement. The other thing is like at some point you just stop all your spending goes to healthcare, right?
Hmm.
So um so again, I think when you think about that, that's another thing. Then the third thing I would say the guidepost is like, are you running to something or are you running from something? And a lot of people, I'll give you classic overachiever. It's like, I was a nerd. People made fun of me. I thought I was never going to get a girl. And my parents were poorish. And so all these things like were very shameful for me. And I like a little kid version of me one day said, 12-year-old Khe said, I will not die alone. I will find love and I will not be poor like my parents were. And that's great, but at some point you don't want to keep living your life. If that's your rallying cry, at some point it's the wrong rallying cry.
Yeah.
And I think that oftentimes people are like, oh, I need this. I need like they're running from, they're like, they don't like that feeling of this person's doing better than me or uh, will I have mattered when I'm gone? Like these questions, they're much cheaper to address like with a couple $1,000s of therapy or a retreat somewhere than to be like, do I need a Porsche? Do I need to change jobs? Do I need to like start a new company, right? Uh, However, if you're running to something, you're like, oh, this thing is so exciting. I can't imagine not spending my time thinking about this thing. Then you're running to. So that would be the kind of third guidepost, running
Man,
to or running from.
it's so good. It's so valuable. And I had a conversation last year with somebody they were approaching an 8-figure exit, and they were able to articulate really concisely a version of something I've heard many, many times.
Hmm.
And that was, I feel scared about money. And that feels wrong to say because I'm about to get more of it than I'll
Yep.
ever need. And I've heard a version of that so many times. And I think that what you just put words to is that there is a good way to create space for that conversation in
Hmm.
your
Yep.
own mind and with your family and with whoever else is appropriate to it.
Hmm.
So that you can arrive at this point that you started with where there's just no substitute for enjoying your everyday life.
Yep.
Not in an indulgent way, but like in a I walk barefoot and look at the water kind of
Yeah,
way. Like
same.
I
I
bear,
run by the ocean every morning.
yeah, like a day that I need to put shoes on feels like a bummer,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And it's just phenomenal, phenomenal guidepost. Man, thank you so much. If anybody wants to follow you, contact you,
Yep.
bring you in for coaching, what's the best way to do these types of things to engage with you?
Yeah, so probably I would encourage them right now. I'm most active on my Substack, so I'll send you the link. But if you just
Cool.
Google Khe Substack, that's my AI newsletter. I guess I'm active on Twitter, but God, who knows anymore? A bit of a cesspool. So yeah, just sign in like my AI newsletter and then my website, khe.com.
Awesome. Man, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Zach. Thanks everyone
Appreciate it.
listening.